I think that the Rays strategy sucks, to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't think that there were 4 votes. Freely admit I was never the best at math. I think there's, possibly, 3 potential outcomes. They could be angling to renegotiate, or they may want out.
The Rays could get sold, and it would be MLB's dream. They hate the Rays.
Those words didn't come from some drunk fan screaming at a bar. They came from an elected official on live television, literally roasting their own baseball team during a government meeting. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for what might be the most absolutely insane franchise crisis in baseball history. This all really kicked off when Hurricane Milton hit Florida, and it ripped off the stadium roof of the Tampa Bay Rays home field, and somehow triggers a $1.7 billion ownership explosion involving secret MLB pressure campaigns and a Jacksonville home builder. Now, here's what nobody saw coming. The day is October 9th, 2024, and Hurricane Milton wasn't just going to be another rainstorm. This Category 4 monster was about to become the match that lit the fuse on the most explosive franchise crisis in recent memory. Fox 13 Tampa Bay documented the carnage.
Whether the Trop was everything to you or underwhelming, it's now just plain unfit. Without a roof, it's sunny but sad.
What looked like a straightforward roof repair became the perfect excuse for everyone involved to detonate 6 years of stadium negotiations in the most spectacular way possible. St. Petersburg had just cut their insurance coverage from $100 million to $25 million in March 2024. The timing of that is just horribly bad. Now, here's where the story just gets even crazier. Picture this scenario that literally breaks everything we know about successful franchises. You have a baseball team that consistently competes for championships, develops incredible young talent, and operates with one of the most efficient front offices in sports. Sounds like a recipe for packed stadiums, right? Wrong. What if I told you that during the Rays' 2008 World Series run, their first ever trip to baseball's biggest stage, with a 97-65 record, they still ranked 25th out of 30 teams in the MLB in terms of attendance? We're talking about a team reaching the pinnacle of baseball success while playing to half-empty stadiums. In 2023, with a 99-63 record, the second best record in franchise history, they had the 4th lowest attendance in MLB. Front Office Sports documented something that sounds impossible. Their wildcard game drew only 19,704 fans, setting a record for the lowest postseason attendance in 104 years. Think about that. The last time a playoff baseball game drew fewer fans was during the 1919 World Series, the Black Sox scandal era, when fans didn't trust that the sport was legitimate. And we're not talking about some terrible franchise that deserves to struggle. The Tampa Bay Rays have been one of the most successful organizations in baseball for the better part of 2 decades. Since 2008, the Rays have made the playoffs 9 times, won 4 division titles, reached 2 World Series, and consistently developed some of the best young talent in baseball. Players like Evan Longoria, David Price, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, and Randy Arozarena all became stars in Tampa Bay. Their front office, led by Andrew Friedman, now with the Dodgers, and current executives like Eric Niedner, revolutionized analytics-based roster construction. They've literally written the playbook for small market success. But none of that seemed to matter to local fans. During their 2020 World Series run against the Dodgers, the closest they've ever come to a championship, they were playing in a neutral site bubble because of COVID. When they returned to Tropicana Field for the 2021 season opener, you'd think the entire region would be buzzing with excitement, right? Well, wrong. They still struggled to fill half of the stadium. It's like the baseball gods created a perfect franchise and then placed it in the one market where winning doesn't translate to fan support. The disconnect is so extreme, it's crazy. Now, due to the hurricane, the Rays announced plans to play the 2025 season at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, dishing out $15 million to lease their division rival's spring training facility. MLB.com confirmed the brutal logistics. 11,026 seats compared to Tropicana's 25,000 seats is a 44% seat decrease. Fans are parking at Raymond James Stadium and shuttling in, scheduling around the brutal Florida summer heat. A team that couldn't draw fans in their own stadium is now playing in a space that physically can't accommodate the fans that they don't even have. For a long time, the owner of the Rays, Stuart Sternberg, has said the Rays have extremely thin margins. But that's just not true. Stuart Sternberg has been playing this we're broke card for years, and the actual numbers tell a completely different story. D-Rays Bay exposed that while Sternberg claimed real losses in March 2024, statistical data reveals the Rays actually had $68 million in operating income in 2023. You see, the Rays receive approximately $60 million annually in revenue sharing from MLB. That's basically their entire payroll funded by fans of other teams. Tampa Bay Times revealed that in 2018, the Players Union filed a grievance for not spending this shared revenue on payroll. So we've got a franchise claiming poverty while operating profitably, receiving massive subsidies, and maintaining one of the lowest payrolls in sports. This is Sternberg's annual spring ritual. Financial threats that make zero sense when you examine the books. It's like complaining about being broke while cashing checks from your wealthy relatives. But moving on, the Rays unveiled plans for a new $1.3 billion stadium in St. Petersburg historic glass plant district with a 30,000 seat capacity, fixed translucent roof, and a mixed-use development to revitalize the entire area. The most beautiful stadium renderings, complete with political consensus, $600 million in public funding approved. Everything looked absolutely perfect. Then Hurricane Milton changed the political landscape of everything. Let's take a look at the timeline of this destruction. May 2024, unanimous approval from both city and county, politicians smiling, press conferences, gorgeous renderings, pure harmony. November 2024, post-hurricane elections flip Pinellas County with commissioners fundamentally opposed to public funding. Political landscape transforms overnight. December 17th, 2024, St. Pete Rising documented a barely surviving 5-2 vote for $312.5 million in bonds after massive delays. Then comes the moment that nuked 6 years of negotiations forever. March 13, 2025. Stuart Sternberg places what he calls a courtesy call to Mayor Ken Welch. 9 minutes later, he goes public on Twitter announcing that the Rays are walking away from the entire stadium deal. Tampa Bay Times captured Welch's absolutely savage response. It's better to get out of a bad engagement than a bad marriage. And so if this is the kind of behavior we're seeing after 6 months, I'd rather see it now. But it gets even more brutal. WUSF reported that when asked about future collaboration, Welch stated he has no interest in working with this ownership group. 6 years of negotiations, hundreds of millions of dollars in commitments, detailed plans, all obliterated with a 9-minute phone call followed by a Twitter announcement. The relationship didn't just break down, it exploded. The November 2024 City Council meeting that produced our opening quotes was pure entertainment.
I think that the Rays strategy sucks, to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't think that there were 4 votes. Freely admit I was never the best at math. I think there's, possibly, 3 potential outcomes. They could be angling to renegotiate, or they may want out.
Picture this absolute chaos. The town council votes 4-3 to fund $23 million for repairs. During recess, Rays president Brian Alds tells media he wishes they hadn't approved repairs because, quote, there's no stadium deal anymore. Council returns, interrogates him publicly, then unanimously recalls their own vote. They went from approving fixes to rejecting them in the same meeting after the team president basically said don't bother. Meanwhile, Commissioner Chris Latvala launched a full social media war, creating viral memes, changing the Rays logo from Rays to Sell, and demanding Sternberg reimburse taxpayers. Now, while all this public warfare was unfolding, here's the behind-the-scenes power play that changed everything. Multiple sources confirmed that MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred and several team owners have been directly pressuring Sternberg to sell the franchise. We're talking about the league office essentially forcing out an owner, something that almost never happens in professional sports. Manfred's public stance: I see Tampa Bay as a major league market. We're going to figure out a way to make it work. He's even been backing this up privately. He's been personally lobbying Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, meeting with officials, and made an unprecedented June 2025 2005 clubhouse visit, telling players directly that he wants baseball to be in this market. The strategy is absolutely brilliant and ruthless. You apply enough pressure that either Sternberg solves the problem immediately or sells to someone who can. But here's what most people don't realize. This current crisis isn't Sternberg's first attempt to escape Tampa Bay. He's been trying to for over a decade. The most dramatic attempt he had was his 2014 to 2020 Montreal split season plan with Steven Bronfman's group. They literally wanted to play half seasons in Montreal starting in 2024. When Bronfman publicly claimed sale negotiations in 2020, Sternberg denied it, and MLB rejected the concept entirely. Now, what if I told you there's been a consistent pattern of threats, near deals, and backing out spanning over a decade? But March 2025 was different. That's when MLB finally said enough and started applying real pressure that actually works. Recently, news broke that Stuart Sternberg is in advanced talks to sell the Tampa Bay Rays for $1.7 billion to a Jacksonville-based ownership group led by Patrick Zalupski. Zalupski is a 46-year-old CEO of Dreamfinders Homes, a $3.4 billion public company. This guy started his business during the 2008 financial crisis with just $200,000 loan and built it into a machine that's constructed over 38,000 homes across 10 states. The ownership includes Ken Babby, who currently owns the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, which is the A's own AAA affiliate. Tampa Bay Times confirmed this creates the mind-bending scenario of a minor league team owner potentially buying out his parent club. Now, the $1.7 billion price tag represents a 750% increase from Sternberg's $200 million purchase in 2004 and a 25% premium over Forbes' current valuation. That premium exists for one reason: relocation optionality and the potential for absolutely massive revenue increases under new ownership. The combined net worth of Zapolsky and Baby exceeds $1.5 billion, including Bill Cosgrove, CEO of Union Home Mortgage, and unnamed prominent Tampa Bay investors. Now, from this, we have three wild scenarios that emerge. Scenario number one is that the Rays stay in Tampa Bay with fresh political relationships and massive financial resources, possibly pursuing playing in Tampa Bay instead of St. Petersburg. Scenario two, relocate to Jacksonville, leveraging Ken Baby's successful jumbo strip operation to get fans into the Rays. After all, if they like AAA baseball, they'll like the MLB. Finally, scenario three is facilitate relocation to Nashville, Orlando, or other markets with operational flexibility Sternberg completely lacked. Here's the Rays' immediate future that's both crystal clear and also completely chaotic. 2025, they're obviously playing their full season at Steinbrenner Field with reduced capacity, brutal summer heat, and daily reminders they're playing in their rival's facility. 2026 and 2027, they return to the repaired Tropicana Field while new ownership determines permanent solutions. Plus, ESPN has already confirmed the Rays support the $55.7 million repair plan. 2028 and beyond, permanent resolution required. New stadium, relocation, or continued uncertainty. This creates the perfect transition window for new ownership to completely reimagine everything without immediate pressure. But it's important to keep in mind why this is so explosive within MLB. Bless You Boys analyzed how the Rays receive $60 million annually in revenue sharing while maintaining one of the lowest payrolls in sports. Yankees, Dodgers, and other high revenue team fans are essentially subsidizing a franchise that refuses competitive payroll and can't draw fans during historically successful seasons. That's precisely why Manfred and other owners want this resolved immediately. It's becoming a league-wide embarrassment. But new ownership would fundamentally change everything. Possibilities have exploded. The most likely outcome is that the $1.7 billion sale creates unprecedented flexibility for Tampa Bay and helps create a more competitive team due to the fact that they have more money to invest into players. Another random theory I've heard is that MLB accelerates expansion using this crisis to add Nashville and another market, reaching 32 teams before Manfred's January 2029 retirement. But the outcome I'm hoping for the most is that new ownership convinces Tampa Bay to pursue development in or next to the city and creates a stadium within Tampa Bay. Now, it's worth mentioning, Tampa Bay isn't a struggling sports market. It's actually one of the most successful in the country. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady and consistently sell out Raymond James Stadium. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won multiple Stanley Cups and pack Emily Arena. Even the Orlando Magic, 2 hours away, draw better than the Rays despite being significantly less successful. So what makes the Rays different? It all comes down to location, location, location. Tropicana Field sits in St. Petersburg, which is technically on the opposite side of Tampa Bay from where most of the population live. The drive from Tampa proper to the stadium can take 45 minutes to over an hour depending on traffic and bridge conditions. But the Buccaneers and Lightning, their venues are in Tampa proper, easily accessible to the region's largest population centers. This is why the Tampa Bay option keeps getting mentioned. If new ownership could build a stadium in Tampa proper with better access to the region's 3.2 million people, it could completely transform the attendance dynamics that have plagued this franchise for decades. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Whether this concludes with reconciliation, relocation, or continued drama, we're witnessing one of the most complex franchise situations in modern sports history. For Tampa Bay fans, the next 6 months determine whether their team will stay in Florida, move within the state or city, or relocate entirely to another state. For baseball fans everywhere, this is a masterclass in how not to handle billion-dollar relationships. But honestly, based on everything, the burned bridges, ownership flexibility, league pressure, and transition window, I believe we're witnessing the most dramatic franchise relocation, or at least change of ownership, in modern baseball history. That's the breakdown. What do you guys think? Will the Rays stay in Tampa, move to Jacksonville, or end up in Nashville or even somewhere else? Let me know in the comments below, and smash that like button if you haven't already. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.